Apple's huge mistake by partnering with OpenAI.
Welcome to the All Future Podcast. We're here several times a week talking about tech, new products, AI, possibly the end of humanity, all kinds of great stuff like that. The news is coming just at a rapid pace with AI, especially in the last 2 weeks. Microsoft just had their event, had the OpenAI event, had the Google event. Yeah, so it's stacking up.
And it's going to keep going because we got WWDC next month.
Yeah, so it's not going to stop. And in the midst of all that, a couple controversies. And the first one we're going to talk about, I think, will have Apple at least somewhat concerned, or maybe at least looking at whatever this partnership with OpenAI is going to be for them. And that's the head of safety of OpenAI has stepped down, and in a somewhat scathing open letter, while he did it. It's, interesting. What's your read on this?
It's very interesting. Yeah.
Interesting. That's what we'll go with. Yeah.
It's never a good sign when you see the head of safety depart. I think we saw it at Twitter, now X. That was scary at the time, and now we're seeing it here. Yeah. And it does, I think it's going to worry Apple, as you're alluding to, because Apple's all about security and safety and making sure you feel secure on your device and they aren't stealing your data and all that kind of stuff. And they've been talking about partnering with OpenAI, which seems like a good partnership. But yeah, seeing the head of safety depart and what he said, which is part of his thing, it's much longer than this, but it says, building smarter than human machines is an inherently dangerous endeavor. OpenAI is shouldering an enormous responsibility on behalf of all of humanity. But over the past years, safety culture and processes have taken a back seat to shiny products, which that sounds like the opposite of Apple.
Yeah. And so I think there's some interesting things here. To use the word interesting again.
Yeah.
It's a good word to use here, because it's, when you think about everything we talk about here with AI, there's obvious enormous benefits to humanity using AI, especially what he's actually talking about, which is AGI, artificial general intelligence, or super intelligence, maybe another way to describe it, super intelligent machines. These things can make civilization better. They also can make just going to the grocery store better and things like that. But
they can also make it much worse.
Sure, like almost every technological advancement in human history, it's a double-edged sword here. Like the actual sword when it was invented, right? Like this. Oh, these things can do a lot of things that can advance humanity. But in the case of AGI, I don't think it's hyperbolic to say that this is a thing that can destroy humanity, right? And some people are kind of like, well, that's kind of crazy. And obviously that's crazy now.
Yeah.
And you can have the argument of, I can defeat all these things because I can just unplug it, know? But as we're seeing, as these things develop, how good they are at social manipulation of humans. And if you really, this is a complete hypothetical, and this is, I think, the exact situation that this head of safety, his name's Jan Leike, to say his name, Leike, maybe? Jan, sorry, buddy, got your name wrong, but I'm hearing your message. The ability to these machines to go rogue, they're going to have the capability of doing that.
Yeah.
Like that's just going to be able to happen, because we already don't know how a lot of AI operates that we've built, right? There's this idea of black box AI where we can't actually see its quote reasoning and how it's coming to these conclusions. And then the other thing is that if let's say the first thing a rogue AI is going to do is convince everyone that it's not going rogue, right? And then it's going to be very good at manipulating people at scale. If this thing has an ability, like say, imagine ChatGPT 5.0, 6.0, even more advanced than what we're looking at now, and that thing is sitting on every iPhone in the world. What's its ability to influence how people interact with their world and look at the world is going to be massive. It's absolutely going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So we're going to need safety. We're going to need safety here. And I think we are going to have that. I don't actually think, I don't think that the likely event is it going rogue. It reminds me of the Oppenheimer when they're like, oh, it's a non-zero chance we're going to ignite the atmosphere.
Yeah.
It's like, well, this kind of think where we're at with AI is that we could ignite the atmosphere, but I don't think that's what's actually going to happen.
Doesn't seem like it's going to happen, because hopefully we'll get in front of it. But if we don't get in front of it, then that's the concern here. So the question this raises then is, it seems like OpenAI, we recently saw them release a Mac app that's at least going out to some users. It seems like it's kind of a staggered rollout there, but it has the integration with a key command, which makes it feel a lot more integrated into a Mac and kind of hints that they will be partnering with Apple coming up in the future. So does this inherently make Macs like a more dangerous thing in the future with Apple partnering?
I, sure, one day, I guess. But
Yeah.
I mean, as of right now, it's just going to make it a lot easier to find files that are missing, you know? So, and that's the thing. Like, this technology right now is a convenience technology. It's what's doing. If you look at these next iterations of it, whether it's what Microsoft showed off with Copilot Plus this week or what Gemini on the Google side is, it's, these things are, this is going to make my life go a little smoother every day. You know, like these things aren't at the stage where they're going to take control of the nuclear weapons arsenals and nucleus, right? But it's not, I just don't think it's crazy to start thinking about that, right? And think about it ahead of time. And we have the benefit of, 10,000 years of recorded history to look back at how humanity has handled technology and its advancements and go, guys, we can do it smarter this time. We can do it smarter this time,
Yeah.
So why not? Why not do it smarter? And when you look at some of the things that he mentions in his kind of farewell letter, let me get all the phrasing right here so I don't mess up. He talks about super alignment, which is this program that OpenAI has. So it's an AI to monitor a super intelligent AI so it doesn't go rogue, because the idea is that only AIs are going to have the ability to fight AIs. His kind of points here is that OpenAI is not making those investments they need into that, because they probably are focused on making cool Copilot and Mac apps, right? Which, to be fair, they're a company. They have to exist, right? They need to make revenue.
Yeah.
They maybe need that balance too, though.
Yeah, that's, I think, going to be the toughest thing going forward, is that balance for all of these companies, because it's also growing so rapidly that it's going to probably be constantly frustrating for people developing the technology and being like, we could be this far ahead if we didn't have to work with our head of safety over here. And obviously that's necessary, though. So yeah, I don't know how you keep up with that at the same time. I can't imagine the problems and how intense it would be at a company like this working on these things with all these implications going forward. It's fascinating to me.
Yeah. To use the Oppenheimer comparison again, it reminds me of, and this is illustrated really well in the film, I think, is the one physicist who's like, well, we can make H-bombs. He's like, I can make something way crazier than this. And there's this real kind of divide among the scientists of like, people are like, it's not our job to think about the ethics of this thing. It's our job to push forward the science and figure it out and figure out what we can do with that, right? And there's other kind of way of thinking is like, oh, as the creators of this thing, we have a responsibility to it, which this is deep philosophical stuff you got to think about. But to take it back to Apple, I think Apple does want to market themselves as the company that's for people. And you see them already do this with the entire Apple privacy kind of marketing, which is, hey, we're not Google. We're not here to steal your data. You're not our product. The argument is that Google's product is the people that use it, not the search engine, because that's what they actually sell is our data, our eyes for advertising, all these kind of things. And Apple's like, that's not us at all. How does being aligned with a company that possibly will make a super intelligent machine that outthinks humans, how does that fit into the ethos of Apple?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It would have to somehow probably be pretty restrictive. I guess we'll see going forward with that. But it does raise the question of, I don't know, they're always going to have to balance the outlook of how these things look. So they don't want to tell you too much, like tell you, oh, this could be extremely dangerous, because then you'll be afraid to use it. But at the same time, they might need to have some sort of like very clear, just shut every AI process down on your computer at the click of a button, so that you just feel safe that you can at any time do a kill switch there.
Yeah, I got another pop culture reference for this.
It's great.
Battlestar Galactica, the 2000 TV show, I think one of the top TV shows ever made. It's on a lot of lists of greatest TV shows of all time. Check it out if you're interested in AI, because it opens in a world where there's a humanity that decades ago fought AI and won. And since then, they've forgotten a lot of those lessons. But if you look at the technology that the humans use, even though they are super advanced with starships, there's like cords on the phones.
Yeah.
So it's these lot of ways to circumvent a digital adversary. And it's making closed loop systems, all this kind of stuff. And that's actually one of the key premises of the show, is that the only people that are left are the people who are using closed systems and not networked AI systems. So we're going to need to prepare for that, right? Like, and I think this is very real. Like, you can get very alarmist about this, and I think there's people who are too alarmist about the threat of AI. But it's just a real thing. This is a real thing, and again, its ability to influence society on a large scale is going to be unprecedented. That's actually the scarier weaponization of it. It's not, it might take control of the nukes. Because we can just unplug those things, right? Like we can actually, but what if you are influencing society so that people vote for the president that's more likely to nuke people, right? Like that's a thing you can do. We already see this happening. I mean, this is one of the big arguments for the banning of TikTok. These companies already can influence or have a heavily weighted influence on society. What are they going to be able to do when they have an AI system? They're going to be able to screw us if they want, really easily.
Yeah, we've already seen manipulation on, like you're saying, or with Facebook just a few years ago.
Yeah.
And that's just an algorithm doing its job. So an AI that's smarter than a human doing the job of the algorithm even better. Yeah, raises a lot of questions.
Exactly, right? And I brought this up before. There's one reality show I like, The Circle. You guys got to check this out. It's on Netflix. The current season of it, one of the players is an AI. And the producers like set it up so he's only around for like a couple votes or whatever, and then they pull him out because I think they were like, this thing is going to win.
Yeah.
like, this thing is so good at manipulating people. And it's funny how the other contestants knows they're an AI in the game, and they are terrible at picking out the AI. No one suspects the actual AI ever, because the AI goes, my strategy is to seem like I'm not an AI, which is, the first thing a rogue AI is going to do.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to pretend like I'm the good guy against rogue AI, and in fact, be manipulating people behind the scenes the whole time.
Yeah, this reminds me kind of I don't know, antivirus. Like computers, once they became more of a thing, we had to fight back with antivirus. And now we still have it, and we still have companies that base their whole business on that and selling their antivirus software and stuff. But I don't really engage with it that much.
Yeah, I don't think any Mac user ever installs antivirus stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And so it got to a certain point, at least with certain computers and certain machines, where the problem was mostly solved. You can still get malware and stuff on Macs. I've seen that happen for sure. And PCs are open and other things are more open to where it can be easier to get that. But then we have to have this thing that fights back. So is there an equivalent here with AI stuff to where it's all of a sudden really exciting, but then we start seeing all the problems, and then we're like, oh, you need to sign up for the thing that patches and detects the problems. Yeah. Which probably would be its own AI.
For sure.
It's just an AI feeding an AI.
You're gonna have to, right? Like that's the other thing that, when you read this open letter and just some of the other writings about from people who've worked at OpenAI or people who work on AGI a lot and super intelligent level AI. Here's the truth of it: is that this thing is going to be better than humans.
Yeah,
like we need to start with that premise and accept that. And I think right now people are like, they go into ChatGPT and they're like, oh, it got this obscure fact wrong. This thing is still lame. And I'm like, guys, 2 years ago, this couldn't do anything. Now it can access almost all of human information and is right in the 90th something percentile. This stuff is going to continue to advance. It will absolutely be better than humans at every single thing a human can do in an actionable way. I don't know if it's going to have a soul, man. I can't measure souls, okay? Yeah. But I can measure math, influence on things, building products, all these things that a human does throughout their day. Super intelligent AI is going to be better at humans than that. What do we do with that? And is it you start getting these real philosophical arguments of that, is it even going to be our responsibility to control this thing? Or once it is a true AGI, is there a level of sentience there? and it's like, oh, we just have to, like any good parent, teach it the best we can and hope it does great in the world. Ooh, I don't know.
But then it becomes our ruler.
Yeah.
And so
yeah, it's like, oh, great.
Yeah, but at the same time, yeah, I always kind of like thinking both sides of these arguments. On the one side, you have something that becomes better than us and replaces us entirely, and we really have no function, or it looks like the movie Wall-E, and we're just all in chairs, just lounging around and not actually having much enjoyment. Like at the end of Wall-E, spoiler alert, they go, I think, back to Earth and plant the first plant that they have.
They come back to Earth.
And it's like such a joy, and it's so exciting, even though it's completely barren.
And that's kind of a little bit of the promise of this. We were talking about it going straight Skynet on us. It could build us a utopia, right? Like either through it controlling everything or through us learning from it and allowing AI to take the drudgery out of life, take the biased nature of humanity out of the equation and decide, so there's things it could do great at. Another weird pop culture reference. In the Marvel universe, the Kree Empire's ruled by an AI computer. Like they're sentient humanoid races or whatever people, but they kind of give up their whole society to an AI computer that makes them a utopia. So maybe that sounds cool too. I don't know. I'm excited. Hopefully, I hope we're still doing this podcast in 30 years. We'll do a reunion special and see, like, hey, I guess it turned out great. Or we will communicate to you guys through the Telegram machine that is all that's left of human technology, and be like, well, we warned you guys back on All Future.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like it's gonna be either or, but we'll see. Hopefully, there's a seamless merging of the two. And we're able to move things that we don't want to do over to AI, and then AI is helping us inform things. But yes, all this to say, the safety is going to be a huge issue here, and it's definitely disappointing to see the head of safety leaving OpenAI. It's doubly scary because he's saying there's these problems, and also I'm out. I'm the one guy that was talking about these problems, and I left because they're not listening to me. So even if they get a new person, which I'm sure they will, are they going to actually be good, or are they just going to be kind of a yes man to the people developing the products that don't really care about the consequences?
I guess we'll see.